The blind leading the blind, an ancient idiomatic expression and metaphor, but also my big idea about leadership. Welcome to my 2019 EKU Communication Studies Capstone presentation, where I discuss my big idea about leadership and what my entire college career has really led up to. And as someone who has studied leadership and communication, I've always kind of gotten back to this sort of expression of the blind leading the blind. And the reason why I'm so focused on it is because I am legally blind, and this is what I want to do. I want to take on a leadership role within the blind community and help empower others. But whenever that expression is uttered by other people, it doesn't mean the same thing that I think it means. The blind leading the blind is an ancient parable dating back to as late as 8,000 BC, or 800 BC, excuse me. But basically, it talks about how someone can be misguided by someone who is also misguided. A blind man is being led by another blind man. Both can't see, both are not knowledgeable, and both lead each other astray. And there is this powerful painting done by a Netherlands artist named Lord Breuler, done by Lord Breuler, who talks about the Bible verse in Matthew 15 where a bunch of blind people are leading each other into a pit. And it's a really creepy painting. All of them have sticks. They all have their hands on their shoulders. They all look lost and confused. And they don't have any eyeballs, so it's just empty skull holes. It's awful. And they're just slowly leading each other into a pit. And it's a very powerful representation of an already powerful Bible verse. And it's a great metaphor for anyone who doesn't know, or anyone that needs a metaphor like that. It's something that surpasses cultural barriers. It's very basic what they're trying to say. Basically, don't let a blind man lead you when you can't see. But that's not what I think of whenever I think of that phrase. Rather than thinking of lack of knowledge and getting lost, I think of empowerment and discovery. Because within the blind community, this is what we have to do. We have to lead each other, otherwise we're not going to get anywhere at all. And while there is a danger of us leading each other into a pit, that's usually not what happens, because we don't just allow one person to take the reins and dictate where we go. We work as a team. Usually one person, in a very literal sense, usually one person is at the front of the group. Usually this person has the most vision or a guide dog, so they're not just self-reliant. And then all of us are working together as a team behind them, and we move forward as a group. In a metaphorical sense, however, we do exactly the same thing. We lead each other, we push each other forward, and the leader is the person who's simply brave enough to step up and speak up first. And there's lots of blind organizations that have this kind of leadership. The Federation of the Blind has a president who is completely blind, and all of its members are also completely blind. So it is the blind leading the blind lobbying to Congress, leading and advocating for others. And to me, that is really what I would like to apply to leadership, because when you apply the normal meaning of the blind leading the blind, the loss and falling into the trench and all dying with no eyeballs, it's a very toxic style of leadership. There's a lack of communication and coordination, and it has the sheep following the wrong kind of shepherd vibe. That is not what we want. But when you apply my connotation of it to leadership, it's very powerful. It's not just one person making the decisions, it's a group of people working together in uncharted territory, coming up with the right solution. And that's what I really want to do as someone in the blind community. This is my big idea about leadership. Taking a phrase that has a very negative connotation about being lost and being unknowledgeable and turning it into discovering knowledge and empowering others. And so whenever I hear this phrase, and whenever I hope that you hear this phrase again, I hope that you realize that it's not about somebody leading another person astray. It's about two people discovering something together. And the leader really is the person that just steps up first and has a team of people behind them, making sure that that kind of stuff happens. It's a visionary statement. It's just somebody being brave and stepping up first. That is my big idea about leadership. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good afternoon.